everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
no. It's every nightmare I've ever had.
Excuse me?
It's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
You know what? You just made the list.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What is up, you ducks? It is All in Football back-to-back days this week because we were getting some extra talk in with the new rankings out. If you want to check out Jeff and all the work at FTN, make sure you use code ALLIN. Get 20% off. You can check out Chris Meany and all his wonderful hockey picks that I sometimes sabotage. If you want to see the rankings, as Lauren knows, you can go to theathletic.com/betstv, all capitals, and first month free if you're not ever signed up, which I have no idea. But welcome back, stepmom Lauren. It's only been a month, 2 months, 3 months. I mean, you popped in for the Jake actually found success in the dating world show, but that was even just off camera. So this is I think this is your welcome back party, so to speak.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to. Where's the balloons and the confetti and the cocktails? What's going on here?
I mean, you got a T-shirt I haven't worn before.
Hey, that's true.
It's Among Us, but like Squid Game. See? So he's saying sorry. He's got the numbers on it. Like, so yeah, that's a deep pull there.
That is
Among Us and Squid Game. Like, I mean, that's a
your
crossover.
Your mind goes
and
into
crossovers.
Exceptional places, Jake.
I didn't make the shirt. I just
you bought it and you're wearing it
because I was like, it's Among Us and Squid Game put into one.
Perfect. Absolutely.
How's life?
It's good. It is very good. Yeah, I'm done with estate sales stuff. I'm back into football. I'm so excited. I don't even recognize the NFL anymore. What is happening? Like, just absolute chaos has been going on. I mean, I step away for a little bit and then suddenly it's like, who's on where, what, how, like when, what is going on right now? What, I don't even know.
So I actually said that, I think a few weeks ago, I tweeted and said, if anybody is the type of person that normally just checks out for a few months and comes back in like July, after the 4th of July, they're going to look at these rosters and be like, what the hell happened? Quarterbacks and wide receivers changing teams. Like, this is just, people are going to lose their minds. They're like thinking they're looking at a magazine from 7 years ago or something.
Yeah, literally. It doesn't make any sense. And even our most recent draft, which I know we're going to be chit-chatting about today, even that was weird. That really didn't have much to do with who was actually drafted. Just the moves that were made, you know, behind the scenes. That was a whole nother kerfuffle going on too. And I'm like, this is weird, but it's fun. That's what makes this game that we love to play super interesting and fun and unpredictable, which is why it's so different every single year.
Well, speaking of kerfuffles, let's talk about Kyler Murray and his kerfuffle of wide receivers right now. So DeAndre Hopkins suspended 6 games. Of course, you know, I'll let you know when I find my results and the truth will come out, blah, 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 blah. You know, it doesn't matter. You're suspended. The NFL is like, it doesn't matter if you're like, oops, I didn't realize this had this in it. Okay, you made a mistake, whatever. You're still suspended, buddy. Like, you're out for the first 6 games. So no DeAndre Hopkins. Lauren, we're going to talk rankings today. So this is a little sneak into the quarterbacks. But for Hopkins, I had him in the teens. That's Hopkins in the teens. I don't think anybody's debating that. I dropped him down to about 42. But I had Murray one spot in front of Justin Herbert. And then I dropped him behind Herbert because what we saw from Kyler Murray when Hopkins was out was not the same Kyler Murray. Are you with me? Or would you have put, I guess that's a twofold question. Would you have had Herbert in front of Murray to start with? And then do you think it's warranted to drop Murray back anyway?
Well, yes and yes. I think the reason why I have this kind of waffling on what exactly to do with Kyler Murray is because he's lost not only DeAndre Hopkins, he did gain Marquise Hollywood-Brown, which I found fascinating that like a minute after they announced that like he was traded to the Cardinals, there he is in Arizona. It's like, oh, so yeah, you didn't know. Fooled you. Yeah, weird. Okay, whatever. But he also lost Chase Edmonds, which was a solid, receiver, even though he is a running back. So that was another thing. But what I'm really curious about is how much is he going to need to rely on his legs now even more? And what is this going to do to James Conner? So I think he definitely should be behind Justin Herbert. But I'm wondering how much of that rushing ability is going to propel him beyond our expectations after losing DeAndre Hopkins. It's a very muddy situation that I don't really care for. So I would rather have Justin Herbert because I think the situation in that team is a lot clearer than what we have going on with the Cardinals.
Okay, so let's talk DeAndre Hopkins for a second because this falls into draft strategy. So I was talking about on the Athletic show, and I said I have Hopkins at 42. He's sandwiched between Brandon Ayuk and Gabriel Davis for right now. That being said, you're not going to get him at 42. He's not going to fall to 42 in drafts. 42 is where you take his entire season stats, and that's probably where he finishes. So if you're drafting, you understand that after 6 games, you're getting DeAndre Hopkins, who should finish from there on out around 15 to 20. It's not an ACL. It's not Achilles. It's not a major injury. He's coming back from a suspension, similar to Le'Veon Bell from a few years ago. So with that in mind, Lauren, are you the type that you'll take him around 30 and say, you know what? He's my wide receiver 3. He should be a wide receiver 2 on most teams. I know what the upside is going to bring me. Or are you going to say, you know what? I don't even want to play that game. He's just not going to end up on any of my rosters. I'll be just looking for value elsewhere.
So I was thinking about this before. I was actually having a conversation with somebody at dinner, and he actually asked me a very similar question. Like, so do I target DeAndre Hopkins or what do I do? And it's like, so, and pardon me for asking this question, because again, I don't know what's going on with the NFL right now. You can blink and like no one's on the same team because, oh, suddenly breaking news. There's really not, I'm kidding. But Rondale Moore is still a wide receiver on that team, right?
AJ Green is too. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, no, whatever. So my whole thing is,
until he comes back, it's Marquise Brown, AJ Green, Rondale Moore, and Andy Isabella.
Right. So where I would kind of go with this is I would avoid Marquise Hollywood Brown. Okay, if you wanted DeAndre Hopkins, I would actually go for DeAndre Hopkins and Rondale Moore as opposed to going Marquise Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins if you really want to have a piece of that offense for the first 6 games. That is my advice for someone who really wants a piece of that Cardinals offense. Because of Kyler Murray, I know that he is incredibly talented. I understand. Personally, no, I'm staying as far away from it as I can. That is way too much drama. I don't need that in my fantasy football life that is already filled with drama, so I'm staying away. No, thank you.
So I think the sneaky real winner here is Zach Ertz. Because of what Zach Ertz Zach Ertz came in and what he did, tight end 5 the rest of the way. There was no DeAndre Hopkins, and he's no DeAndre Hopkins. So yes, Marquise Brown wasn't there, but I still think Zach Ertz, for being concerned of like, all right, is he going to see that same workload, is the potential? I think he holds most of his value. I still have, well, we'll save that. I'll tell you where I have it when we get to that. So I'll let you. It's been a while. Do you want to go quarterback since we already touched on quarterback, or do you want to jump into running back to start because everybody always talks running backs?
Let's go spicy. Let's do quarterbacks because we're not like everyone else.
So we're starting with wide receiver. No, I'm just kidding. we don't need to spend any time Josh Allen number 1, right? The conversation starts after Josh Allen.
Yes.
So the very first thing, we talk a lot of times, and I draft in tiers. So my next tier would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd have 6 in my next tier. No,
yes.
5 in my next tier. I lied. 5 in my next tier.
Okay.
I would go 2 through 6. I already got pushback for number 2. Lamar Jackson is who I have at number 2. So I go Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, Murray, Hurts. So initially, like I said, I had Murray, Herbert, Hurts. Much easier to say Herbert Murray Hurts now, but Lamar Jackson at number 2 got big pushback. And here's my counter argument, because everybody looks at last year and everybody's, I think a lot of what's going on with the Ravens is clouding this a little bit. I go back 2 years ago and I go back to Lamar Jackson. This wasn't even his MVP-like season. This was 22 fantasy points a game, modest passing numbers. And when people look at it, Marquise Brown that year was not very good. It was like 800 yards. So it's not like losing Marquise Brown. It's like, oh my God, well, Lamar Jackson's going to suck now. But here's the other thing. So Rashad Bateman, they even said there was a reason we drafted him in the first round. So obviously I'm making my case for Lamar Jackson right now. But the other here, like whether it's Jarvis Landry, somebody else, they're probably bringing somebody in. Maybe Will Fuller fills the role left by Marquise Brown. I know, for fantasy purposes, I don't care. Honestly, I don't even really care what they do at wide receiver because the way that they structured this team just means they're going to let Lamar Jackson keep running. And 1,000 rushing yards from my quarterback is going to make him the number 2 quarterback. Do you want to take Patrick Mahomes and call me crazy? Fine. I'm not going to go past Justin Herbert, though. So, Lauren, How insane. Scale 1 to 10. Hey, ducks. 1 to 5 ducks. How many insanity ducks do I get?
You get one. You're not
One.
even. Like, no, it makes total sense. And I understand, like, this is one of those things, we can call it recency bias, we can call it whatever. But with all of these moves that are happening in the offseason, during the draft, whatever you want to say, the entire outlook of every individual player and each individual team is now changed. The dynamic is completely different. And so if you go back to the basics of what we know about these players and we know their strengths and weaknesses, we know what Lamar Jackson is capable of doing. Now, a healthy J.K. Dobbins is only going to help Lamar Jackson's run game. So I do like this. I think that you are correct. What I don't like about Patrick Mahomes is his loss of Tyreek Hill. So I don't think that you should have gotten any pushback for that, because I think out of those, besides Justin Herbert, who's my boo, really, that makes the most sense for me when it comes to consistency, because especially when we're talking about a rushing quarterback, I'm sorry. Yes, please. I will take that all day long. Absolutely. I don't think you should have gotten any pushback for that. I agree with you.
So would you take Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson, though?
Yes. Yes, I would.
You would?
Yes, I would.
So, brief case, Lamar Jackson versus Justin Herbert. Make your case for Justin Herbert.
All right. Justin Herbert is going to be his next year in a system that he's going to be working with. We have a healthy Austin Eckler. We've got our wide receivers that are already there. He's going to be yet another year more comfortable with what he's doing. I love what they're capable of doing in the offense. Not only that, but I love the fact that Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert. Besides his really nerdy last name being Herbert, and he needs a pocket square with a pen in it, I mean, that would be absolutely perfect. But he has the ability to basically teleport the football, and they have the ability to play all 60 minutes. They never give up. They keep going. And that is what I want in my quarterback. I am one of those that doesn't dislike a running quarterback, but I also like the high flying offense that Justin Herbert has at his disposal.
Okay. So Josh Allen, number 1, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Herbert, Murray, Hurts are the 5 that I mentioned in my next tier. If you had to pick one to unseat Josh Allen, who would it be? Who do you think has the best chance to unseat Josh Allen as the number 1 quarterback?
This is where I'm going to have to agree with you, because I think it's
Lamar
probably
Jackson?
going to be Lamar Jackson.
I actually have a different answer than that.
Really? Because I think if anyone's going to unseat him, it's going to be Lamar Jackson with what he can do with his legs.
I'm going further down the list.
Are you going to go Jalen Hurts? Because I
Jalen Hurts.
No.
Jalen Hurts. Look at Lamar Jackson.
Unfortunately, I agree with you, but I don't like it.
Look at Lamar Jackson's number 1 season at quarterback and look at those numbers. And Jalen Hurts runs like Lamar Jackson. He's not going to run for 1,100 yards. And there was even some talk that they don't want him to run that much. They want him to throw a little bit more. Good. I want a little bit more balance to his game, because you know what? That's just going to open things up more. See, what happened with Kyler Murray last year is one of it is he didn't like to run as much. But when you start to throw more and take away that fast as a game, you also saw his yards per carry drop, because he's running more by necessity. And 2, you have defenses playing you differently when they know that that's really not in your mind. Jalen Hurts opening up his passing game will help him sustain and keep those yards per carry numbers up and get some rushing touchdowns. You added an alpha wide receiver. Your number 1 last year was a rookie who still wasn't really 100% for most of the year. And the bust of busts of recent memory at wide receiver, I mean, N'Keal Harry's in that, but for Jalen Reagor, now he's kicked down. I mean, he got unseated by Quez Watkins late in the year in the Raw. You're going basically essentially from a banged up Devonta Smith, who, let's be honest, is still a great number 2. I don't think he was ever going to be a number 1. I know some people disagreed with me when I said that last year, but I think he's a great number 2. So you're kicking everybody down a peg and bringing in A.J. Brown. So yes, if anybody unseats Josh Allen, I would put my money on Jalen Hurts.
I can see that. I don't like it. I can see that. I know. So peek behind the curtain. I texted Jake when the whole trade went down, and many of my best friends are actually Eagles fans. They're from Philadelphia, and it was this collection of torn sentiment. At one time, they're like, "Oh my God, we just got A.J. Brown," and then they were like, "Oh no, his fantasy value is now in the garbage can." So it's like, for real football, this is absolutely fantastic. For fantasy football, I don't know how much I like this for A.J. Brown. Now, this does it does do a lot for Jalen Hurts, which I like. I don't know. Maybe it's a personal thing. I don't know. I just don't have faith in Jalen Hurts yet. So maybe I'll be that late one on the train. Yeah, maybe I'll be that late one on the train that's like, oh, my bad. Should have listened to Jake instead of me, which that's probably what you should do anyway. But yeah, I just don't. There's an eyeball test there that doesn't mesh well with me. However, his value in a draft is significantly better, I think, as long as the offseason goes according to plan. So when it comes to where I want my team to go, how well I want them to go, I think he does have all of the pieces there to be a very consistent quarterback for you that you can get later on in the draft, as opposed to Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and it's so I have to get on board. And I don't like it. And I don't know why I don't like it. Why am I such a bitter, resentful person? I should be nice.
I don't know. I do. I will take Jiggle's dad joke here and say that I guess that Jalen hurts your faith in A.J. Brown.
Oh, well done, Jiggles. That was good.
So after him, and you are right about Hurts too, because he's likely to go after at least one, if not two or three of these next quarterbacks. Let's round out my top 10. After Hurts is Joe Burrow. I don't think anybody's taking Hurts in front of Burrow from what I've seen so far. All right, it's a very limited sample of people who are. Tom Brady, he's back. Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson's his own story. We don't need to spend too much time on that. I would actually have Deshaun Watson up there with Hurts if I knew he was starting week one. We still don't even know if he's starting week one. So he's a conversation for probably weeks or a couple months down the road once we finally have some clarity. So for that being said, right behind him, I have Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson in Denver, Russell thinking he still has something left, but also doesn't run as much anymore. Would you go Burrow, Brady, Rodgers, Wilson? We'll leave Watson out of this conversation. Or would you have Stafford in this group or Dak Prescott in this group? Because it's kind of crazy to me. And I always felt crazy that I was like, wow, Dak Prescott down at 13. But Dak Prescott now is, I can't move him in front of anybody that's in front of him.
I know. And this is, to answer your question, I would love to see Stafford in there. Honestly, I think I would kick Aaron Rodgers out of that. And the reason why is he doesn't really have anyone to catch the football, except for Robert Tonyan.
But see, that's down 7 spots from where he was last year.
It worries me. It worries me a great deal for Aaron Rodgers. He's the one that I think should be right on that fringe of the QB1.
Okay.
I am very
I won't argue too much.
I am very concerned for Aaron Rodgers. Now, with Matthew Stafford, last year was his first year with the Rams. Of course, obviously, it was their Super Bowl championship year, whatever. I do like the consistency, I think, that he's built up. Obviously, he had to learn some new things after 12 years in Detroit. So I think that I have a little bit, I'm talking faith a lot right now. I have a little bit more confidence in Matthew Stafford's ability here because I know the pieces and the weapons he has around him. And I know that they have some pretty good rapport. Because you got to have faith. Baby, I'd move Aaron Rodgers down, but Matt Stafford.
Okay. So to this whole entire point, last year at the quarterback position, Dak Prescott was 7, Kyler Murray was 11. The gap between them, 15 fantasy points, not even a point per game. So that's really, now granted, Kyler Murray didn't play the full season, but I'm just talking about if you just rank them. Like if you go by fantasy points per game, actually that's probably better to even look at. You have starting at Tom Brady at number 2, 22. You have to get all the way to Dak at 10 before you even get under 20. And then if you only take Jalen Hurts at 7 down to Matthew Stafford at 11, that's not even a full point per game. It's quarterback position. So I think the clear thing, which we'll hammer and say over and over and over and over again in the draft process this season, is that if you don't get that top tier, just wait. Wait and take Stafford or Dak or whoever's there in round 10, 11, 12. Hell, wait and take Derek Carr and his eyeliner, because apparently the eyeliner makes him a better quarterback.
I love that.
Although, did you see the haircut?
Yes. Yes. I was like, who is this rogue up there? Like, what are you doing with that haircut?
Did he cosplay as what was the name of his character? The one so Hawkeye in the Avengers movie, like when he was over in Japan.
Yeah.
But they that character had a name.
Ronan. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Foxy. Yeah. Yes.
That does. But okay, so as a woman who wears eyeliner, I am uber jealous that he can just wake up and be like, look at my beautiful eyes. Like, you shut up over there, Derek Carr.
I got that my entire life, as everybody's like, oh, you have great eyelashes. And I'm like, thanks, I'm a dude, so I don't really care. But
yeah, I do have some nice eyelashes, although I do have to brush them before I put on mascara because they're incredibly long and it turns into a situation. But, hey, I'll embarrass
you thankfully never done those hard, like the peel on, peel off ones that the girls wear with like the...
No,
it.
because my eyelash is already too long. So if I wear them, I look ridiculous.
Those
it's dumb.
make me squeamish when I see them peeling them off. Because no,
it just comes right off. It's not a big deal. I tried them once, and my husband was like, "Take those off. You look ridiculous." I was like, "Yes, thank you. I will take them off because they're miserable and really annoying." But yeah, so my thing, just real quick about Dak Prescott. And Aaron Rodgers, if I'm going to do kind of a comparison here, taking Aaron Rodgers out, I actually do have, I like what's going on with Dak Prescott more so than I like what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. That's how low Aaron Rodgers is in my mind compared to Dak Prescott. So it's tough for losing Amari Cooper is tough, but he also still has a ton of weapons around him too. But what is going on in Green Bay is a situation, not just on the football field, but off of the football field as well. All those things carry over, and I don't have any confidence, faith, whatever, look up a thesaurus for another word for that. I don't even know, but yeah, I just don't like it.
Okay. So then let's talk running back again. I don't think we have to have any conversation who the number one is. It's Jonathan Taylor consensus, and sure, can Jonathan Taylor possibly not finish number one? Nobody's going to make that gamble though, because injuries, workloads, teams, there's questions galore behind them. So just like quarterback, Lauren, let's start with number two and give me a 1 to 5 crazy ducks. Insanity ducks is actually what I call them. Christian McCaffrey, number two. Here's my argument for Christian McCaffrey, number two. You don't want to take him because of the injuries the past 2 years? Not going to argue with you. However, when he's been on the field, the games that he's played, he's been number one running back numbers right there last year with Jonathan Taylor. So that's what I'm playing for. If I don't, let me make this clear. I don't want the second pick because I don't want to have to make this decision. But if I had the second pick, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey. I know he can be number one, just like another running back we'll talk about later.
I have had this conversation as well, and it's one of those fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me thrice, shame on me, because I'll do the same thing and I'll cry and
it's not
and
his
be
quad
upset about
every time, at least. It's different injuries.
It's his hammy, it's his quad, whatever. But you can't not do it. And as much as it hurts, and I completely agree with you, I don't want to have to take him, but you can't not take him. But if you don't, totally cool, cojones galore, well done. But it's one of those things where you just can't miss out on the fantasy opportunity that he brings to the table when he is starting and when he finishes a game. There's just no other way around it. And it stinks because it hurts, because I had Christian McCaffrey all over the place last year. And it was heartbreaking and stressful and dramatic. And as I said earlier in the show, I like to avoid as much drama as I can in this very dramatic industry that we are in. But unfortunately, this is one that I will not be able to avoid. And who's next? My option here is going to be Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry. So I like Derrick Henry quite a bit, but would I rather have Christian McCaffrey? I think I would. I don't know. I really don't know. It's such a slim margin, and it might depend how many cocktails I've had when I'm drafting, and I might just take Derrick Henry anyway and then cry about that later. So either way, I'm going to be upset.
So just as a quick sidebar, I was actually looking up to see if they had the Ronin Funko Pop, but they do, and he's in this suit. It's actually the Avengers Endgame Hawkeye, even though he's in the Ronin suit, unmasked. There's one with the mask on it, which kind of defeats the purpose, unless that's for what we're going for. But the one I'm looking at, I might get, and then I might put eyeliner under it, just to, I got the Derek Carr. There you go. So let's talk about the next one, because if it's not Christian McCaffrey, you just said Derrick Henry coming off an injury. Derrick Henry, if injured, look, the only way he's getting injured is like last year. It's going to be a freak injury. It's going to just be because his body's so big. He takes. But if Derrick Henry stays healthy for all 17 games, he can finish number two again. He has that upside. Najee Harris, workload galore incoming. Quarterback, rookie, / I see the puppy. Are you going to pick her up? Are you going to pick her up and show everybody those eyes?
She's so big now. I don't know. Yeah, you keep talking. I'll get her.
Okay. So Najee Harris was his workload, but rookie quarterback situation, so questionable offensive situation. And then Austin Eckler, who we know, but Austin Eckler most often is not going to touch the ball 20 times a game. She is getting big. And then we'll talk about him as a sidebar, but her eyes are still blue, still light blue.
Ice blue.
She looks bothered to be on camera.
She is so tired right now.
It does look like you're trying to keep her awake.
She's like, it's all right though. She's only 4 months old. She's a baby.
You can let her go. It's fine. I just want everybody to get to see the pup. Barkley's over here snoring, or I bring her on too.
Aw.
But yeah, she's full on conked out.
She's so I know she's so pretty. It's disgusting.
Okay, so
pretty.
anyway, do you want to make a case for any of these over Christian McCaffrey? Because you said Henry, but it's Henry, Harris, or Eckler. I left out Dalvin Cook, injury history, and then his numbers, even while he's out there, usually don't get to. They don't get to Christian McCaffrey level. Joe Mixon, we just saw probably peak Joe Mixon, still doesn't get there. Alvin Kamara would have gotten there with Drew Brees, not anymore. Also, maybe suspended, maybe not. Saquon Barkley finished in front of Christian McCaffrey in points per game his rookie season, but I'm not putting him, as much as I'm on Barkley, and we'll get to him in a second, he's not in this conversation. So is there anybody you want to make a case for? Is it just, let's be real, we have to go McCaffrey?
There's a tier break. There is an obvious tier break here, and it stinks. I think you do have to go McCaffrey. Now, when you were just saying, if so, the injury history with Dalvin Cook, obviously Christian McCaffrey has an injury history as well. But just like you said, I cannot overstress what you just said. The points when they are on the field are significantly different. There is a gap between those two players. And when we're talking Derrick Henry, he is probably the only one close that I would take over Christian McCaffrey if I was just done. If I was just totally done, and I would not begrudge anyone that choice. And again, I'll probably have to make that choice at some point, and then y'all can listen to me be upset or happy about it. Who knows where I'm going to be at that time? Other than that, no, there's not. Like Najee Harris, I love him. Excellent running back, but not in the same bracket, not in that same type of fantasy production that is just through the roof. And then we have Austin Eckler, another one I absolutely love. Again, the numbers aren't there. It's really, really hard. The only case I can possibly make of not taking Christian McCaffrey and taking one of these other guys is if you're just done and you don't want to deal with the injuries anymore and you don't want to have to constantly hold a roster spot for his backup. I get it. That's really the only reason why. And I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't begrudge anyone that feeling because it's stressful.
And for Austin Eckler, I think people are undervaluing, one, what Isaiah Spiller brings, but two, also the fact of drafting Isaiah Spiller and what they've been trying to do for the past 3 years is find somebody so Austin Eckler doesn't have to touch the ball 18, 20 times. And I think that's part of what we're missing too. Talking about injuries, banged up a lot through his career too. All right, so mentioned Cook, right? Mentioned Joe Mixon, Kamara, and then to round out 9 and 10, this is where things get a little bit debatable, especially at number 9. Number 9 is Saquon Barkley. 10 for everybody out there, I have Leonard Fournette. Then just behind him, so everybody knows, just missed Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams. We have to pour one out for you. I had him 5th before the re-signing of Melvin Gordon. He's still 13. I can't believe that. Still 13, but he's not number 5 anymore. So Barkley at 9. Barkley at 9, here's my argument for Barkley at 9. Similar to Christian McCaffrey. Although his injuries have been a little bit more freakish, especially, I think people are forgetting the last 2 games of September before he rolled his ankle on the Cowboys defender.
That was gross too.
And it was just such a freak thing. After the play, stepping back, you feel for the guy. And that was on a pretty poor offense. And that was Barkley looking really good. And Dan Dugan for The Athletic even said when he came back, just didn't have that explosiveness where he was already in a second gear before tackles were trying to get to him, tacklers. So there's my case for Barkley. You have him under Dable. You have vastly improved offensive line. I still have zero faith in Daniel Jones. Let's be clear. But again, if you told me Barkley finished top 5, I wouldn't be shocked. And that's why I have him inside my top 10.
You literally just took the words right out of my mouth. I have no problem with him inside the top 10 whatsoever. And if he finishes, like you said, if he finishes in the top 5, it would not surprise me whatsoever. Freak injury accidents, I totally get that. He also carries a very significant chip on his shoulder. I don't know if you've heard any sound clips or anything recent interviews in the offseason. Well, I'm sure you have. Your dog's name is Barkley, for crying out loud.
Yes.
So he really wants to prove himself, and he is doing every single thing that he can. I am more than willing to give him another shot. I don't have that same fear when it comes to Saquon Barkley, especially with this improved offensive line, and absolutely zero faith in Daniel Jones. I mean, I'm literally just echoing everything that you said, but I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, because they're not going to have any kind of a passing game. The only thing that they can do is rely on Saquon Barkley. And if they have some health up there in the front, maybe he'll be able to get a few more holes, have that explosiveness that he had prior to when he rolled his ankle. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for Saquon Barkley. And if you can snag him as your RB2, oh, heck yeah.
Oh, my God, please.
Gimme.
So I said this on the Athletic podcast, but in a different way. But, what's funny is you bring that up, and Daniel Jones is, I think, it's funny to me how many excuses Daniel Jones gets, and then everybody wants to crap all over Barkley because of his injuries. Like, I jokingly said, if Daniel Jones had Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, and still only threw for 20 touchdowns, people will be like, well, he didn't have a good slot receiver. Like it's just like there's excuses every time you turn around.
It is. I was really excited for Daniel Jones' possibility last year with the addition of Kenny Golladay. We had spoken about that on a different podcast over the summer.
So wait. Are you about to say you were 100% right, Jake, and I am taking everything back?
Kenny Golladay barely played. But what was exciting about that opportunity was the contested catch rate of Kenny Golladay. No, because I think that is still in nebula, okay? No, I don't know. I'm not saying that you're
Daniel
right
Jones does not know how to throw a contested ball because
yes, he does. Oh my! I'm gonna bring this up and put whatever. I was excited about that. That didn't come to fruition. Kenny Golladay was hurt almost the entire time. That video. Oh God, yeah. I think I yelled at you. Wouldn't be surprised. And you're like, who is this weirdo? I'm like, sorry.
It was like a second thought having you on the show with me. So there we go. So let's go to wide receivers. Wait, real quick. Was there anybody outside my top 10 that would be inside your top 10? Chubb, Swift, Williams, Connor, Gibson, Mitchell, Akers. I mean, we're really getting down there at this point.
Yeah, no. I think your top 10 is solid. Now, what I will throw out there, it would not surprise me if DeAndre Swift finishes within the top 10, but I don't have I'm using faith and confidence. Geez, that's basically where I'm at right now. I don't have that. I'm not going to draft him as though he's going to do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did, which is exciting because if you can get DeAndre Swift a little bit later as an RB2, like we mentioned, I think he's going to be a pretty solid asset.
I like that the Lions didn't add anything to that backfield.
Correct.
And just sat there with Jamal Williams coming back, assumedly, and Jamar Jefferson and the rest of them. So, all right. So let's talk another Jefferson. There you go. Wide receiver. Hey. So not only do we not have to discuss number one, Cooper Kupp. By the way, for everybody out there who's like, oh, how many times does Cooper Kupp, a wide receiver repeat? I said this before, Lauren. You take off 20% of his volume or his production last year. He finishes number 2 by 1 point behind Zebo Samuel. 20%. Yep. If you take off 40%, he's still in the top 10 and finishes behind Dionte Johnson. Cooper Kupp is my number 1 wide receiver. He should be your number 1. I don't think anybody's debating Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, 2 and 3, right? Nobody's debating that.
Yep.
Is anybody debating Devontae Adams at 4?
I am.
Okay, good. As the leaf blowers come right up against my door. I'm not sure if you can hear that in the background.
Just a little bit. Don't worry about it. It's
all right, so then debate Devontae Adams at number 4 because that's who I have at number 4.
The reason why I'm saying I'm debating it is because I do not like his landing spot with the Raiders and eyeliner Derek Carr. But who is going to be moved up in his place? I don't know, and I hate it. But, like, honestly, I think
it's one of those ones where you want to put somebody in front of him, but you don't know who you can.
But I don't know who. That is the biggest problem. So if we're going down our list here, is it going to be Debo? I don't know. That whole entire offensive scheme is now going to be different. So as much as I would like that, who knows where he's even going to be because he wants out. So what are we going to do with Zebo Samuel?
All three of them weren't healthy for very much of the time last year to get that being Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle. Didn't play a whole lot together last year. Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb, I think, is someone that I could make a case for. But that's a stretch, I think. It's a stretch. Tyreek Hill, another one. Who else is going to go there?
Miami. Like, Stephon Diggs?
Who's going to...
Maybe if Diggs caught like 13 touchdowns, he could get there.
Maybe.
But that's the thing, like maybe. I think Adams has to be there.
So he has to be there, and I don't like it.
Would you agree with me on this? Let's take it as I know you don't like it, which just means you won't have Devontae Adams on your teams, which is fine.
Likely.
Like you just don't. So, would you say if we're doing tiers at wide receiver, Cooper Kupp on his own?
Yes.
Jefferson Chase on their own, Adams on his own, and then everybody else. Like we have 3 tiers in the first 4 wide receivers.
I would not argue with that. I think that is appropriate because he is a tier on his own because he's because of where he is at, not because of the player and because of his talent. So I don't want anyone to hear what I'm not saying. Davante Adams is a freak of nature.
Back with the Packers, you would put him near, in the
Absolutely.
Jefferson Chase group.
Yeah, he would be right below Cooper Kupp. But unfortunately, that's not the situation that we have going on here. So he is on a tier on his own because he's not quite up in that tier, number 2, because of where he is at now, but he's not down with the other ones because I don't know if I can put them up. It is such a crappy situation. I haven't liked this since it happened. Because not only do I think it's bad for Davante Adams, it's horrible for Aaron Rodgers. It's horrible for all of the fantasy assets when it comes to the Packers because your biggest weapon that defenses are scheming around is now gone. Clearly, I am verklempt about this situation, and I have no idea what to do with Davante Adams. If I'm forced to take him in the draft, I will, but I'm going to make contingency plans around having to draft him if I do. It's a mess, and it's ugh.
So I'm glad you said, because there's actually a wide receiver here we're going to get to that is, I felt similarly, is like, I have to put him here, but I kind of I expect him to finish lower, but we'll still get to this. So Zebo Samuel, Diggs, Lamb, Hill. I feel like those 4 are next in their tier of their own, and we'll get to 9 in a second. Do you think anybody deserves to be with them? Do you think all 4 of those should be in the same conversation, or you would kick somebody out? Because there's legitimate concerns of what Hill is going to be with more of a shared across. Because Hill, 2 things. One is obviously he's not with Patrick Mahomes anymore. But that being said, the connection wasn't as good last year. We saw that Patrick Mahomes and that offense started to move towards what is the Sky Moore fit, trying to get open quicker, doing a little bit more of the middle of the field. That being said, you're still going from Mahomes to Tua. Second of all, you're also going from Mahomes 22, 23% every single year for Hill to with Waddle and the fact that there's multiple other options involved here. The Wilson signing, they brought in, I don't think, Zukna-Anma. I always struggle with his last name. I don't think he's playing until like a year or 2 from now. But you have Gesicki. You have more mouths that are more involved. I'm not saying that like Chiefs. So I don't see putting Hill higher. So would you say these 4? Would you say Samuel, Diggs, Lamb, and Hill, or would you kick somebody out?
No, I like this. If Tyreek Hill wasn't with Miami, I would put Jalen Waddle up here. However, that's not the state. That's
where
the case.
I had
We don't have that.
I had Jalen Waddle, basically Jalen Waddle at 8 and Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill fell to 8. Jalen Waddle, for everybody out there, fell to 15.
Yeah, it's unfortunately. Is it unfortunate? I don't know, but I would agree with you that that's what it is. There's just been so many changes. It's been absolutely nuts. But no, I think that is the appropriate for those players right there. And it's just so weird because it is so different from what it was last year with everyone. But I feel especially for the wide receivers because there's been some moves and shakes. But yeah, I think those 4 are perfect.
How about the fact that we have 2 Miami wide receivers inside the top 15?
It's interesting.
And two Bengals wide receivers. We're not going down to 15 for this debate, but Higgins at 13. That's just, I love that. So here's what we get down to. Number 9 and 10 are both like, I have them here. I don't love them here. If you told me they finished 19th and 20th, I wouldn't be shocked. Like that's, and I'm putting that out here to say this. This is very similar to the quarterback situation. We talked about tiers. I think it's very clear whether you want to include Adams in the Jefferson Chase, whatever it might be. Once you get past the 8 that we've now talked about, I'm going back to running back. This is why I go running back, wide receiver, running back. Or maybe if you want to take a tight end, maybe if Pitts is still sitting out there or, somebody like that. Because let me ask you this, Mike Evans, I have at number 9, Keenan Allen at number 10, similar to your Davante Adams situation. I'm probably never taking them that high at this point because let's drop down to 19 and 20. DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin. You tell me they finish better than Mike Evans and Keenan Allen? I see a world with that. I see a world where Amari Cooper with Cleveland, if Deshaun Watson starting number 1, could finish in front of them. I see a world where Jerry Jeudy becomes Tyler Lockett for Russell Wilson and could. Now, I'm not betting on it, but Mike Evans, Keenan Allen just feel like they're there, but they're not going to end up on our drafts.
It is like, this is a fondue pot of weirdness. But honestly, it's very true because Cortland Sutton is also in the mix here too. I like that whole situation, but I don't know, DK Metcalf, that one terrifies me. Terry McLaurin with the commander, Carson Wentz himself.
Carson Wentz now.
What the yay. Hold on. Let me go grab my confetti and my, whatever noisemaker and jump for joy.
He's slightly better Heineke.
Well, true, but I do
Talk
love
about
Heineke.
given every opportunity not to how many
Right?
passes is this guy getting?
No, exactly. But it is. And I also want to echo something that you just said too, is when you're getting down to this group of wide receivers that we're talking about here, grab a dart, put some names up on a dartboard and throw and wait. Because what the value of running backs is going to just completely fall off. It's going to fall off into the depths of Hades. It's going to be down in there hanging out with Cerberus. Meanwhile, the value of the wide receivers is going to stay consistent later on in the draft. So this is when you go back, snag a couple of those value picks at the running back position, and then maybe they'll have thinned out enough for you to not have to rack your brain about which one in a weird situation you're going to have to take.
Isn't that the three-headed dog?
Yes.
Cerberus?
He guards Hades.
And I only know this because of I played the game Hades on the Switch, which is
I love Greek mythology, so that's how I know that.
it's one of those roguelikes. So it's actually Hades' son, and he's trying to escape hell, and you have to fight through the gods. And Cerberus is sitting next to Hades at the throne spot there, and like you can pet him and everything like that. Or is it two heads? Is it two heads or three heads?
No, it's
Two.
three heads. Or you can call
Just
him
three?
Fluffy from Harry Potter.
Fluffy. Oh, okay. At the same time. So
But it is Cerberus.
to answer the question by Albert, right after Keenan Allen and Mike Evans, and this is the other part of it too, Dionte Johnson at 11, which I could see sliding. We were talking about a rookie coming in. Maybe he likes. I don't think he's going to like Claypool, but maybe he likes.
Is he going to be the
Deontay
starter,
Johnson.
or is Trubisky going to be the starter? Do we have any
We're banking
clarity on
Trubisky?
that?
We're banking on Trubisky. They took him in the first round pick as the starter.
I know, but still, that's a weird
Unless he goes
situation.
face down in the preseason, which is possible, Pickett's the starter. But what I keep saying is I don't really care who wins the quarterback battle. I don't see the numbers being all too dissimilar. Like, for fantasy purposes, Trubisky equals Pickett, Pickett equals Feichel is Einhorn. Like, that's what we're going to get at
Einhorn
quarterback.
is
Like,
Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn.
that's the production. So I don't think the effect is anything to worry about. So Deontay, A.J. Brown, to answer the question, A.J. Brown I have at 12. I originally had A.J. Brown at 5 in front of Zebo Samuel. But now, and that's not a huge drop. It's not even a full tier or full position, but he's down there. So real quick, Deontay, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, injury. Some people say 14 is aggressive, but if we see he's 100%, people will be okay. That might even be low. And then Waddle at 15. And I mean, again, like you said, almost like shake the bag, see who's left on the board in the 5th round, and go with that one.
It's difficult because all of this is going to be
4th
based on
round.
speculation, and you're going to have to literally just kind of think, what could happen? And you can look at all the numbers, you can look at all the stats, you can look at past stuff, but so many things have changed this year that let somebody else take the stress of weeding through those guys, and then you'll be able to have just a little bit narrower pool of players that are going to be stressing you out. But if they do well, you're going to get yourself a solid wide receiver 3. So there is potential there, I think. Or wide receiver 2, whichever one.
Let's wrap it up with tight ends. So right now, I have Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts. If Matt Ryan was still in Atlanta, I originally had Pitts number 1. Because people are forgetting, because of the lack of touchdowns, what he just did last year. Historic rookie tight end season. Essentially, what we said again, but now it's Mariota. So that's why I put Pitts back down to 3. I don't really even care, but do you want to make the case that some people are making Andrews over Kelsey? Kelsey's finally been unseated as the number 1?
I'm not going to make that argument. I get the argument behind it, but now there is no Tyreek Hill. This is going to be the Travis Kelce show.
That's
so
the
no,
thing. Like,
there's
I
no
would
way.
have thought there would have been a better argument if Hill was still there. With
I
no
agree.
Tyreek Hill,
100% agree. This is no, absolutely not. No, like that's
How
don't
likely are
overthink
you-
it for me.
How likely are you to get Kelsey, Andrews, or Pitts? Because I assume from last year's drafts and what just happened, I'd say they're probably all going to be 3rd rounders. I don't think anybody's sneaking into the 2nd round anymore. I think people have learned their lesson.
Oh, I would not be surprised if I saw Travis Kelce go in the 1st round. If I'm picking late
Still?
in,
People
yeah,
still?
absolutely, even more so now because he's literally going to be there.
We're going to get the 28% target share narrative.
It's going to be, I mean, it's going to, I haven't looked at the exact numbers, but if we look at the vacated targets for Tyreek Hill and we see what other pieces have been evolving and moving and where that's going to go for Patrick Mahomes, no way. If Patrick Mahomes was a rushing quarterback and he was running all over the place and being Lamar Jackson, then maybe I would say, second, third round. But I have no problem taking Travis Kelce early, because then that tight end spot is done and I will fill out everything else and not have to worry about it, because the break of talent when it comes to 1, 2, and 3, we could, I guess, make the case for George Kittle if he stays healthy, is just vastly huge between top 1 to 4 and then everybody else.
See, I go 4 and 5. So I'm glad you brought that up. I put Kittle and Waller in the second tier
Waller.
together.
Well, the thing that worries me about Waller is Devontae Adams. That's another reason why I struggle with that one. But that's why
I put it down here is,
I would pass
and that's
him
my
over.
Kittle thing. Kittle, when he was productive, was one other option. Again, I keep going back to Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle all healthy. And what we're assuming as of today, now Trey Lance at quarterback.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So did I just get you into the Kittle-Waller, Taylor?
I've always kind of been there before, too. I do love George Kittle, and I love Darren Waller. But again, I'm going back to that whole Derek Carr situation for me, when Darren Waller was really one of their best wide receivers as a tight end. And now I worry about what kind of target share is going to be taken away from him.
All right, then let me ask you the question this way. Would you put Kittle in his own tier and drop Waller into the conversation with Schultz and Hawkinson?
No. It would have to be the same tier as George Kittle.
Okay.
So
Schultz and Hawkinson in a group by their own, or do you want to pull in Goddard or Air Fryermuth or Zach Ertz or Knox or Gronk if he's back, or Gesicki or Fant or Smith? Is there anybody, or is it just those two? Because I feel like those two just have a leg up on everybody else. And I would have liked Fryermuth more, but the question, again, to go back to, is now we have rookies starting, so that it makes me hesitate. You know how much I love Fryermuth.
If there's one, I know, good old pet Fryermuth. If there is one tight end I think that could sneakily finish very, very close or above Darren Waller and George Kittle, I think it could be Dawson Knox. I think he's emerging. I think he's one of those sleeper tight ends, but you can grab him later. It's not like you got to, rush to go snag him. I think he's going to be a surprise. Now, would I rank him there now? Might be close, but I still couldn't put him in the same tier as George Kittle and Darren Waller, but it wouldn't surprise me if he finishes better.
Anybody you don't like? Do you think, like, if you
How much time do you have? We've met, right?
1 minute.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, I like all of these. I think TJ Hawkinson is still going to be a wild card because of the Detroit offense. That's just something I tend to stay away from unless it comes to the wide receivers now, which you've talked
we got you to
into.
come back around.
Thank you.
Now they got
Appreciate
Jameson Williams, too.
I know, that was exciting. I'm excited. My husband is still like, man, whatever, it's Detroit. I'm like, well, it's your team. I'm excited for you. Okay, don't even worry about it. TJ Hawkinson, I think, is a little bit more of a wild card, but again, we're talking about the dumpster fire that is the tight end position. So,
okay,
work with what you got.
Last thing before we get out of here, Mark Carr, I'm going to answer your question. Who do I prefer in Dynasty, Debo or Josh Jacobs? So this is Debo. This is Josh Jacobs. I'm going to move them apart. You tell me when to stop.
Me.
Yes. Keep going.
Unless your hand can separate from your body and let it drop through the floor.
That's the point. Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option wasn't picked up. There's already been talk that Zamir White's leading that backfield next year, and it's a running back versus wide receiver. Debo.
Yep.
And then Josh Jacobs.
Go down, touch your toes. Did you stretch your hammies today?
Follow Stepmom Lauren at Stepmom Lauren. She'll be back in some time. Yes, that's why we're doing this on Tuesday. I'm going to Baltimore with the girlfriend to see AEW and an Orioles game. Yeah, that's how cool she is. And I'll be back next Tuesday again with Meanie, because then I'll be going to D.C. while she does some work training, and also seeing the Mets play the Nationals. And so all kind of trips coming up.
Oh,
so make sure
you have this halo glow of happiness around you. It's making me
Is that what that is? That's what this shimmer is. So, we're back on Tuesday with Meanie at 2 p.m. Follow Lauren over at FTN. Code ALLIN, 20% off. TheAthletic.com/BestTV. First free month. We love you guys. Lauren loves you more. See you later.
Peace.